Salman Rushdie attacks Roald rewrites as absurd censorship. Sir Salman Rushdie has attacked the rewriting of Roald Dahl books as absurd censorship at the hands of bowdlerising sensitivity police. In new editions of Roald Dahl's beloved stories, Augustus Gloop is no longer fat. Mrs Twit is no longer fearfully ugly, and the Oompa-Loompas have gone gender-neutral. The publisher, Puffin, has made hundreds of changes to the original text, removing many of Dahl's classic, timeless and colorful descriptions and making his characters less grotesque. Sensitivity readers were brought in to review Dahl's language so the books can continue to be enjoyed by all today, Puffin said. Sir Salman, who as author of the Satanic Verses has been a pioneer of free inquiry and lived under constant threats to his life, became the most high-profile person in the literary world to condemn the decision on Sunday. He wrote on Twitter, "Roald Dahl was no angel, but this is absurd censorship. Puffin Books and the Dahl estate should be ashamed." Double quote. He wrote on Twitter. Sir Salman later tweeted in response to a critic, he was a self-confessed anti-Semite with pronounced racist leanings, and he joined in the attack on me back in 1989, but thanks for telling me off and defending his work from the bowdlerising sensitivity police. Double quote. Sir Salman was stabbed more than a dozen times on stage last August at a literary festival at the Chautauqua Institution in New York State, leaving him blind in one eye. After writing the Satanic Verses, Iran issued a fatwa death sentence for blasphemy and his book was banned in 45 Islamic countries. Other literary figures also rounded on the changes. Comedian David Baddiel posted a screenshot of one of the changes to a passage in the Twits that removes the words double chin, adding, "The problem with the Dahl bowdlerization is it has no logical consistency. Here, double chin has been cut, presumably to avoid fat shaming. But what about wonky nose or crooked teeth shaming? Once you start on this path you can end up with blank pages." Double quote. Meanwhile, Suzanne Nossel, the CEO of literature and human rights organization PEN America. "The problem with taking license to re-edit classic works is that there is no limiting principle," she tweeted. "You start out wanting to replace a word here and a word there, and end up inserting entirely new ideas, as has been done to Dahl's work. Literature is meant to be surprising and provocative. That's part of its potency. By setting out to remove any reference that might cause offense you dilute the power of storytelling." Double quote. Catherine Bowdlerising, a head teacher and Britain's former social mobility commissioner, added of the changes, "How is this even legal?" The Telegraph revealed last week how hundreds of changes have been made to updated prints of Dahl's stories, bringing them into line with contemporary sensitivities, with words and phrases on weight, mental health, violence, gender and race expunged. The word fat has been removed from every book. Augustus Gloop in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory may still look like a ball of dough, but can now only be described as enormous. In the same story, the Oompa-Loompas are no longer tiny, titchy or no higher than my knee but merely small. And where once they were small men, they are now small people. The words black and white have been removed. Characters no longer turn white with fear and the big friendly giant in the BSG cannot wear a black cloak. In previous editions of James and the Giant Peach, the centipede sings, "Aunt Sponge was terrifically fat and tremendously flabby at that." And Aunt Spiker was thin as a wire and dry as a bone, only drier. Both verses have been removed, and in their place are the underwhelming rhymes, "Aunt Sponge was a nasty old brute and deserved to be squashed by the fruit." And Aunt Spiker was much of the same and deserves half of the blame. In the section of the witches, another reference to a double chin has been removed. Prof. Frank Fiordi, an expert in the sociology of fear at the University of Kent, told The Telegraph, "What we have here is a knee-jerk cleansing of the literature of the past and they are turning works of literature into recipe books for their own workish values. This is only the beginning because the role of sensitivity readers is expanding all the time. Whereas they were initially hired to read new books submitted to them, now they're going back through the literature of the past almost as grievance archaeologists, trying to unearth words that might offend them. Double quote. Dahl died in 1990 and his family subsequently apologized for anti-Semitic remarks during his lifetime. But he is still regarded as one of the world's best storytellers.